All right, I'm welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Did take another winner today, too, on the Jets. Told you guys about that yesterday, too. We were short that, full disclosure there. So another 14% on the second half of that. Nice dump there on the JETS. But anyways, over to the spiders here. So everybody, big story, obviously Credit Suisse, more embattled here. And they've been trying to suppress this story, right? So it's been going on for a while and the media's just been kind of ignoring it. I haven't been ignoring it, but the media has been. And, just more all-time lows, all-time lows, all-time lows. Well, when you have a banking crisis, it kind of, there's only so long that it can be ignored for here. As you see, FRC here, again, back lower, and KRE, KBE all under pressure here. The XLF down another 3%, making new lows. Credit Suisse kind of, they did come out and, they announced that they're going to talk about bailing it out. I knew they were going to do this stuff. If you caught the video this morning, the YouTube short, I basically said, look, this is just Opex games here. This doesn't look like panic. I told my members this morning, this doesn't look like there's any sort of panic. And, maybe we'll test lower prices to a degree here, but I'm not expecting a breakdown of any sort today. And, it is Opex week and it's Whipsaw Wednesday. It's notorious for this type of action here. And, as I said yesterday, I think there's too many shorts in the market in the immediate near term. In the big picture, there's not. I mean, you got to remember, was it just last Monday? People were calling for all-time highs. They were laughing at the bears. So, you can't really, have a bottom right after that, especially not when you're having 2% swings here and you're still way off the lows. But either way, I think in the near term, they're probably going to run these hedges off. If we take a look at the VIX, still up 12% today, and it backed off pretty sharply yesterday. So people are still holding onto their hedges. I think they need to whack this though a little bit more if we're going to have any sort of major volatility moving forward. That is, I would say next week, next couple of weeks. Again, it is Opex week. I think they keep the market held up until then. You can see we did get a nice little bid here off that news. No follow through though, and that's typical for Opex. I think 3,900 is probably the cap here if they do pop us up a little bit. They did that yesterday, and that's been the 0 DTE kind of gamma area, the big gamma area the last 2 days. Is that 3,900 area, about 390 on the spider. And notice how, the last minute I was doing this video yesterday and they just popped it up just to get us above that 3,900 area. Maybe they do it again today. Maybe the bears come in and, back it off of that area. But either way, lots of whipsaw here. I just sat on the sidelines as a day trader today. Didn't take any day trades. Not interested in trading this whipsaw. But either way, big picture, where there's smoke, there's fire. Obviously, their governments are trying to put it down or trying to put the fires out right now. Bond markets all over the map here. Let's look at ZB. So ZB up 1.25% today, but did come pretty sharply off the highs. If we look at the TLT, still got rejected at that 200 moving average there. And, like the 10-year TNX, that came pretty sharply off the lows and held the 200 moving average. The ZT here, the 2-year up 56 basis points, made a new high. Lots of mixed signals, and PPI came in. It's like PPI got kind of like lost in the radar on all this stuff. That came in. That was like a straight up deflation print. It came in very cold, much colder than expected. So it's kind of like the Fed here is. We all know that they underestimated rates, inflation. Anybody with half a brain was saying last year, like inflation's going to get out of control. And the Fed was the last ones to realize it. They might be the last ones to realize that they've overdone it. And I think I did say that probably a couple of months ago. I probably said it back in December, that Jerome Powell will be the last one to realize that he's overdone it with rates. So that might be the next thing here. But bond market, it's definitely come nicely off the lows here. All over the map, lots of volatility there, though. But again, big picture, I think we hold up into the end of the week. As far as resistance here, again, obviously that head and shoulders neckline and that 200-day moving average there. Notice the 20 now downsloping kind of in that area as well. So that could be an area to watch, especially if it starts to coincide with that 200 and that neckline. So we'll watch going into tomorrow there. Good volume again on the spiders, up 136 million shares. Big time volume there, as expected. Triple Qs still acting as a safe haven here. So people are asking, where can we put our money right now? Banks are typically an area where you would put your money if you're just looking to park it for a safe play, but obviously nobody wants to touch the banks right now. So, Apple's basically flat on the day. Well, down 0.5% here, but Microsoft up nicely. Google getting a nice bid here. That's got a little higher high there, but not a great pattern. Amazon, Meta, even everybody's favorite Netflix up almost 3% on the day. And Tesla is red, but came nicely off the lows. So, again, you're kind of seeing that trade, and we talked about this. I've talked about it many times here. A lot of the downside has been pulled forward in the Qs. And we have other sectors like the Dow that's held up, and the Russell especially. The Russell's been sideways for a long time, so these indices are playing catch up to the Qs. So, see, people are parking their money in Apple right now, and as you see, the Qs turning green here again. Because that's really the only place they can put their money, or at least that's how they feel right now. I don't think that lasts forever, but for now, that's the trade here. So anyways, but yeah, Q's still hanging in there. Looks like we're just going to reclaim that 20 moving average there on the daily like we did yesterday. No confirmation above it currently, but it's hanging in there. You'll have resistance at this pivot high if we get up there. Then, of course, obviously the 304 area will be major there on the daily time frame. This is the big level, though, 308.43 there on the triple Qs if we were to get up there. But remember, we do have a failure. So we have a failed inside bar there on the weekly time frame. That's not something to sneeze at. So any rally here should result in some type of a lower high on the Qs. So just keep that in mind, but they're holding up for now, so we'll respect them. Russell 2000 did make a new nominal low today, but it's going to close above Friday's low. So it's safe for now. Again, you got a lot of support in this area, and it is oversold, so it probably is due for a bounce here. When these things bounce, they can bounce pretty sharply too. So, I wouldn't even rule out a 200 moving average test in the near term. If we get some type of news that the market, the shorts start to get nervous, this can really rip. So just be careful with the Russell here. But new lows there. Same thing with the Dow. Again, you get the 200 there as well. And then, of course, that, this 326 area, which is where you broke down from. Remember, pivot. So right in that area, 20 moving average down sloping also. So good area there. All right, SMH here, still holding up. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. That was in danger of cracking that wedge again. So that's, 1, 2, 3 times, last 4 days, we've cracked it a little bit. We actually closed below it Monday. But, it's hanging in there for now. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It came nicely off the lows, as you can see there. And now just trying to kind of consolidate with everything else there. Not a terrible pattern there on the spiders there going into the end of the day. Decent little inside bar. Again, we're very news driven right now. They could easily, slam this down tomorrow morning. And again, it is Opex week, so I don't trust anything right now. But NVIDIA holding up. Semis, again, the level that I'm watching is 250. I don't think it gets through that. IGV down 0.5% here. Again, we'll watch this trend line one more time. Let's get that right in there. So we'll watch that going into the end of the week, but possible area there, and then 290 and this pivot high. With this pivot high, there's levels there on the IGV. But again, like I said with the Qs, close below that green bar on the weekly. That is a big negative for cloud. All right, over to transports here, still on the weaker side. Definitely on the weaker side, obviously, as we saw with the jets. It is holding yesterday's low, but we closed below Friday's low on Monday, and we've made lower lows each day here. Now it is getting a little oversold. We'll watch this area here on the weekly because now it's in play. Let's draw that in. So 14,139. That's the weekly level right there that we got to watch here. I don't even care about this level anymore. That's the level that they need to bring this back above by the end of the week. Otherwise, that's a failure. So again, big issues here for the transports. They do not look good. And typically, before major volatility events, the transports sell off the hardest, while the spiders hold up. And that's kind of been the case here. The last 3 days we haven't made, or I should say last 2 days, we haven't made new lows. And the last 2 days on the transports, we have made new lows. So definitely be careful there with the transports and with the market. All right, so we already talked about bonds a little bit. Let's go over to housing. Housing still noticeably weaker here. XHB down 2.5. New lows made. Doesn't look like we're going to make a new closing low, but definitely on the weaker side. And I'm not sure what's going on here. Generally, with rates going down and bonds bidding, XHB is going to get a bid. Maybe we're finally starting to see kind of a sell the news here. So bonds are finally starting to bid, and XHB is saying, okay, that's it. We priced it all in, and now we can sell off here. Because XHB, it's been going up since June, and it didn't even make new lows in October. And if we look at the 10-year, that's had a huge run into the fall, and XHB did not do that. So maybe now things are finally starting to flip. But again, XHB showing a little bit of weakness. Again, it could also just be Opex stuff, so definitely don't rule that out. I don't like this pattern here in ITB. That is set up for a move down to 62.50. So be careful with that. VNQ still has a daily inside bar here. So red bar, you're inside of that. Not a good pattern either. I don't see this getting much through 85, 85.50. All right, over to XLF. So that just, again, we mentioned that earlier, down 3% here. Looks like we're going to, unless we get a pop in the next 10 minutes, 31.37. I mean, they could save it here, but we might close below Monday's low. So not really a good look there. Even if they save it, it's not really like it's a huge win. I mean, we tested this green bar low. We're off the lows. We'll give it that for now, but just not a good look here. In general, XBD, of course, same thing. So back below the 200 moving average, just a major breakdown there. We've talked about that ad nauseum. KRE up off the lows here, but not a good looking chart. And same thing with the KBE, very, very, serious here. Anyways, okay, energy. Sometimes they just don't let you. They just don't let you in the door. I said we break this pivot, we're going down, and we went down really hard today. We are off the lows. We'll see. Maybe they can save it. I can't rule that out. I'm not kind of in that camp, but, we'll see. It's probably going to back test that area. I'm kind of looking at this for a possible short if we can get back up there and close the week below it, obviously. If they close us back above that, it could be a massive trap. And I'm saying this because I don't want anybody to get hurt here. If they close this back above here, especially on Friday afternoon, it's going to be a massive trap. So just be careful here, but we'll watch that going into the end of the week there. But nice breakdown on crude. Where did XLE go? Finally, you guys know I've been talking about this for a long time. Right to that blue trend line. I mean, I've been talking about that trend line since probably November. But yeah, finally tagged it with good volume. So maybe this can get a bounce here. Again, we left a pretty fat gap on the chart. And then, of course, we have that white trend line. That might coincide with that same level on crude. We'll take a look here. Beautiful weekly level, weekly 50 MA. Overall, that inside bar wins out, and that's why you got to pay attention to them. I talk about these weekly levels all the time. And I said, look, we never closed above that red bar high. So you could still make a case that this can go lower. It took 5-6 more weeks, but, it happened. Sometimes, they just work on their own time there. But nice breakdown there for XLE. If you lose this trend line, there's a gap right there around 73, 72.50. And then, of course, these pivots, down in these areas here. But nice flush there for the XLE. And again, like I've been saying, these fund managers, right, they've been piling into Exxon, piling into Chevron, piling into Conoco. And the problem with that is once they all pile out, it's a run for the exits. Just see NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, all those stocks in November of 2021 and then in January. So anyways, over to XOP. Again, much weaker here. Down to the 115 level. It's holding that for now. This probably wants to go down and test this double bottom here, but it probably won't do it in a straight line. But nice breakdown, down 7%. Whopping sell-off there for the XOP. And again, I alerted you guys this with the lower highs there. After hitting this trend line, starting to make lower highs. It's a sign of weakness. A sign momentum is declining. OIH. So how long have I been saying that this is going to go down to 250, 260? Probably since same time. So November, December, right? And we finally, we hit 257.08 here. After that failure here, that took 350 off the table. So I said, this should get back to 250 at some point, but it might need to go to 350 first. unless we close below this green bar. We did. And again, another example, watch those weekly patterns. So you get a failure on the weekly, that's going to trump anything that happens on the daily. And again, this is why, amateurs are looking at this and say, oh, it's a bull flag on the Qs. But, if you follow these weekly patterns, that's a failure. So that's why I'm looking at it that way. But OIH finally getting down here. This trend line's kind of sloppy. Let's get rid of that. But either way, went right into this pivot here. That's where you bounce. It probably still wants to get down to 250 though, eventually. And I believe that's a 50% fib as well. So if we go down to here, oh no, it's a 618. So that's a good area there on OIH for a bounce. I would love, if we get down there tomorrow, I might even get in that myself. But either way, finally getting down there to that level. Nat gas got very close to that gap fill, didn't quite get there. Spot natty did. The futures on the J contract didn't, but I'm not sure what it wants to do here, if it wants to go touch that level. But they are saving this green bar for now. Maybe we touch it tomorrow. Either way, I think it's in the process of putting in a higher low. So nothing really too new to add, but it might get down to that 236 area. DXY here, big bid off of that 50 MA. And again, people got really bearish on the dollar. And my kind of questioning is, so what's your alternative? The euro? I mean, come on. So the euro's getting hit really hard, down 1.5. Not a good look there. Obviously, a Swiss franc here getting pounded. As you can see there, that looks like a possible fake breakout to me. Big reversal there, down almost 2% on the day. Dollar index is still holding up. And on the weekly, you're still inside of this green bar. So you got a little test candle. As long as we close inside of that, this is a setup to move higher. So again, I'm still bullish the dollar, and nothing's really changed there. So gold getting a bit here, even with the strong dollar. Again, fear trade, that makes sense. It's holding up well. Again, I'm going to give this the upside bias to 1962. That's where I think it wants to go. You have a red bar high, obviously, there on the daily, but that's the level that I am watching on gold. Silver here backed off of that 50 MA pretty nicely. If this consolidates, though, this pattern's not broken, but it did jump pretty nicely off that high. In fact, if you look on the hourly, it broke back below that 50-hour moving average. So, maybe a little fake breakout there in the near term. If this consolidates, though, it can fix that pattern. But if you start to break below, 21, this pivot here, let's see, 2140, we'll call it, then this pattern gets much, much weaker here. So a little bit neutral there on silver at the moment. Platinum, nice sell-off, but it's still holding that green bar. Again, doing some technical damage. So definitely, I still think the PMs have a little bit lower to go. And then copper here, nice breakdown here, holding the 100 MA. Yeah, it wants 375. So, I've been telling you guys that for probably the last month or so. And a nice little breakdown through that wedge there. All right, let's get over to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's actually, there we go. Bitcoin's actually holding up. Again, just like everything else. Put this on the last night. We do have a nice broadening pattern here. So we'll see what it does here. I mean, maybe it can get up to 28. I'm not sure. The one thing I would caution, though, is this could turn into a diamond. So if you're familiar with that, pretty big reversal pattern. And it's a big one there, if it can play out. But for now, it's holding up. We'll respect it. But yeah, watch that broadening pattern. That will be resistance up there, especially if we get up in this area here. I mean, that's a wall up there. So just be careful with Bitcoin here, but it's holding up, so we'll respect it for now. All right. Market's closing about 5 minutes here. Spiders, just sitting here right in the highs. Okay, again, it's just whipsaw back and forth. They've got this bull flag, get everybody excited. Just like they got the bears excited this morning. That's why I've been sitting on the sidelines. I figured they would probably do this and just pin us sideways. I don't know what we're going to get tomorrow. We're very news driven, but I do think the market makers they've been trying like hell to hold us up all week. And it's more of a challenge with the volume as high as it is, but they're still pushing the market around pretty easily. So market makers are in control right now. And I do think we at least hold up into Opex, but after that, things could get a little hairy here. So anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.